Baptized Catholic Xavier Becerra is the new Secretary of Health and Human Services. It was a narrow Senate vote last week, with only Republican Senator Susan Collins of Maine joining Senate Democrats to confirm the former California Attorney General to the post. All the other Republican senators opposed Becerra's nomination, largely because of his aggressive abortion record.
Attorney General Becerra is not only unqualified, I say he is radically liberal in his positions.
As former California Attorney General Xavier Becerra faced his confirmation hearings, senators slammed his qualifications to lead the Health and Human Services Department.
He's made a name for himself in the Democrat Party for his extreme positions on abortion.
But it's not just his lack of health care credentials that are concerning, as pro-life leaders point to his abortion extremism. In a statement released on the day of Becerra's confirmation vote, Marjorie Dannenfelser, president of the Susan B. Anthony list, said, quote, "Becerra is infamous in the pro-life movement, well known for his record of attacking pro-life policies protecting unborn life, as well as assaulting the conscience rights of pro-life Americans. President Biden could not have picked a more eager and enthusiastic partner to destroy pro-life policy and expand abortion on demand." Becerra previously spent more than 20 years in Congress pushing a pro-abortion agenda. During his first term in the House of Representatives, he voted against the Hyde Amendment and later voted 3 times against the No Taxpayer Funding for Abortion Act.
Could you name one abortion restriction that you might support?
Senator, let me try to respond this way. I have tried to make sure on this important issue for so many people, where oftentimes, again, we have different views, but deeply held views, that I have tried to make sure that I am abiding by the law. Because whether it's a particular restriction or whether it's the whole idea of abortion, whether we agree or not, we have to come to some conclusion.
Planned Parenthood gave Becerra a 100% approval rating for his work on Capitol Hill. His time as California Attorney General was not any better. In 2018, Becerra faced off against pro-life pregnancy centers at the Supreme Court, arguing they should be required to advertise for abortions. In 2019, he was back at the High Court, this time against the Little Sisters of the Poor, trying to take away their religious exemption to the contraceptive mandate, which would mean the religious order would be forced to violate their conscience. It's a role he's tried to diminish.
By the way, I have never sued the nuns, any nuns. I have taken on the federal government, but I've never sued any affiliation of nuns.
And in yet another red flag, Becerra, as California's top attorney, revived all 14 felony charges against David Daleiden, the project lead for the Center for Medical Progress, after he released undercover Planned Parenthood videos which allegedly show the illegal sale of body parts and fetal tissue from aborted babies. Senator Steve Daines of Montana, the chair of the Senate Pro-Life Caucus, joins us now from Capitol Hill. Senator, welcome back. I want our viewers to hear part of your exchange with Becerra during his Senate confirmation hearings when you pressed him on whether he would support any abortion restriction. Let's take a listen.
We're going to be the head of the HHS. It's a huge organization, has profound impact on our society. How about a ban on sex-selective abortion? Whether the little baby is a male or a female, would you say you can't have a sex-selective abortion?
And I respect those who take a particular view. My job will be to make sure that I am following the law.
Senator, what did you learn about Secretary Becerra based on your exchanges with him?
Well, that exchange I had with him in front of the committee just confirms what we have known, is that he is the most radical pro-abortion cabinet official probably that I've ever seen serve here in Washington, D.C. And sadly, Catherine, he's going to be heading the Health and Human Services Department, which has $1.2 trillion of spending oversight. That's more than any other cabinet position in the United States. But I pressed him. I asked him, what about gender selection abortion? No answer. What about Down syndrome baby abortions? No answer. What about partial birth abortions? No answer. I mean, absolutely radio silence. And furthermore, it's not only the threat certainly to life, is one of the most enthusiastic pro-abortion leaders we have in our country, but it's also the attack on religious freedom when he sued the Little Sisters of the Poor. So he sadly now, by one vote, has been approved. He'll be serving under President Biden, but it shows you how radical and pro-abortion and far left this administration is. Contrast that to President Trump. He was the most pro-life president. We saw more pro-life wins than any other president, certainly in my lifetime, perhaps in American history. Sadly, Joe Biden is going to go down in history now as being the most pro-abortion presidents we've seen in our country's history.
Senator, on that topic of religious freedom, do you foresee Secretary Becerra targeting religious groups over their pro-life views? Do you think we'll see more cases similar to that of the Little Sisters of the Poor?
Well, based on his track record, I fear that we may see more of these attacks on these issues of conscience protections, as demonstrated by his past record. We've already seen now on the issue of abortion where he has supported and the Biden administration has lifted the Hyde protections here relating taxpayers paying for abortions. So we saw that with this last COVID package. And furthermore, Becerra has already moved forward now on actions that would allow grants to go to Planned Parenthood. And so it didn't take long, Catherine, sadly, but they're already moving down the path in this pro-abortion agenda, administering it now with policies that should be very, very concerning to all of us who fight for life every day.
When we last spoke, Senator, you announced that you had more than 45 senators promise to oppose any legislation that goes after pro-life protections. It is filibuster proof. What happens, though, Senator, if the filibuster is busted? Can you put into context the role the filibuster plays for the pro-life movement in the Senate?
Well, this debate that's going on right now regarding the filibuster has profound implications, not just in the short term, but for the long term for our country. Here's what concerns me more than anything else. Certainly, it'd be stripping any pro-life protections. Those would be gone. Those would be gone. And we would not be able to move forward with any of our pro-life protections because they could stop us on every front. But what they will also do is they'll move forward with D.C. statehood, with Puerto Rican statehood, and then completely restructure the United States Supreme Court. Those changes will ensure that the pro-abortion caucus in the United States Senate will be in power for at least a generation, if not further. That'll be true in the United States Senate, and then they'll undermine all the great work we did of putting pro-life Supreme Court justices on the bench like Amy Coney Barrett. That truly would be for naught because they will pack the Supreme Court with pro-abortion justices, and those are lifetime appointments. So that's what's at stake right now in this filibuster debate.
Under the Trump administration, the HHS department created a conscience and religious freedom division. Do you think it's important that division stays in place now with an HHS Secretary Becerra?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm just so grateful for the work that was done in the Trump administration and Secretary Azar. I mean, just great progress made in the issues of life and conscience protection, religious freedom. So I hope that stays there. But again, sadly, if you look at the record of Xavier Becerra, what he did in California, what he did in Congress, he has taken the most radical and extreme positions on the issues of life and religious freedom. So I fear that that will probably be undone under this administration.
And a lot of his views are now on the record based on how you pressed him during his confirmation hearing. Senator Steve Daines of Montana, chair of the Senate Pro-Life Caucus, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Catherine.
Joining us now on Skype is Autumn Christensen, Policy Director for the Susan B. Anthony List. Autumn, welcome back. What should the pro-life movement brace for now that Xavier Becerra is HHS Secretary? What can we expect of him in this new role?
Well, you know so well that as Attorney General out in California, Becerra was always the first in line to carry the torch for the abortion industry and Planned Parenthood. For example, he worked to lead other attorney generals in exploiting COVID for fetal tissue research and mail order abortion. So we expect more of the same as he now leads the Department of Health and Human Services.
Autumn, the same day that Becerra was confirmed, the Biden administration announced they are rewriting the pro-life Protect Life rule. How significant is this, and what do viewers need to know?
Sure. So the Protect Life rule is an administrative policy that was put in place by President Trump. It says that abortion is not birth control and therefore any federally funded family planning grant programs called the Title X program shouldn't be funding abortion clinics. It's outrageous to think that taxpayers would give money to abortion clinics, but that's exactly what the Biden administration intends to do, to take money away from neutral centers and instead give it to organizations like Planned Parenthood, the largest abortion provider in the country.
Autumn, earlier this month, EWTN News Nightly's White House correspondent Owen Jensen asked White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki about the Conscience and Religious Freedom Division at HHS. Let's take a listen.
Will President Biden keep the Conscience and Religious Freedom Division at HHS, the office that was put in place under President Trump? Will he keep it in place to receive conscience complaints from those doctors?
You'll have to talk to a future Secretary Becerra once he is confirmed.
Autumn, can you speak to that? And why is the Conscience and Religious Freedom Division at HHS important?
Right. Well, this division is exactly as was said, the division responsible for enforcing conscience protections, for preventing states, federal agencies, and federally funded organizations from engaging in discriminatory action against pro-life doctors, pro-life nurses, individuals who simply don't want to be involved in abortion, as well as insurance companies that don't want to be involved in abortion. And what's really interesting about this is that this is the very division that fined the state of California $200 million per quarter for having violated a federal law known as the Hyde-Weldon Amendment. The way they violated it was by forcing all regulated insurance plans to cover abortion on demand. And quite ironically, Becerra was very quick to say that he did not intend to comply with that fine and with that requirement, and now he's in charge of that very same division.
Wow. You know, Autumn, when Becerra was nominated, we encouraged our viewers to contact their senators and urge them to block Becerra. That obviously did not happen. So what's next? What can we in the pro-life movement do now that Becerra is confirmed at HHS?
Well, I mean, the first thing that we have to do is shine daylight on his activities. We have to monitor and expose and share the extreme activity that is already in the works, and more will come, to promote the abortion agenda and to work toward divided government. If pro-life members retake the House and or the Senate, we'll have much greater opportunities to hold him accountable and to mitigate the damage of the Becerra HHS.
We are absolutely going to continue to shine a light on his actions. Thanks for helping us to do that. Autumn Christensen with the Susan B. Anthony List. Thank you.
Thank you.